He was a wealthy, lonely man who thought he had everything until a little girl stopped him with 4 words, "Don't start the car." What he found under the hood of his luxury vehicle wasn't just a scared kitten, it was the beginning of a new life. A second chance at love, at laughter, at family. What started as an ordinary Thursday turned into the day that healed his broken heart. This emotional story will remind you that sometimes, the smallest moments lead to the biggest changes. Grab a tissue, you're about to witness the most heartwarming rescue of all. Was the kind of man who had it all, at least on paper. A successful businessman, the proud owner of a luxury home, a polished car, and a powerful presence in the construction world. But inside, he was a man weathered by solitude. At 58, divorced and distant from his children, Vladimir's life revolved around meetings, contracts, and long silent evenings. That all changed on an ordinary Thursday. As he approached his car, ready to head to a critical meeting, a child's voice stopped him cold. "Don't start the car." A little girl, no older than 8, warned him about a kitten hiding beneath the hood. What began as a simple act of kindness, checking under the engine, turned into something far deeper. He found not just a frightened kitten, but a reason to pause. A reason to care. That girl's name was Anechka, and her gentle courage would open his tightly guarded heart. From saving a tiny life, to bonding over shared compassion, Vladimir, Anechka, and her single mother Elena slowly formed an unexpected yet beautiful connection. Days turned into weeks filled with laughter, warmth, and a kitten named Seryazka. What Vladimir thought was a life built on success revealed itself to be painfully empty until love, in the most unexpected form, found its way in. This is a story about more than rescuing a kitten. It's about rescuing each other. Vladimir Sergeyevich was slowly walking to his car, holding a briefcase and keys in his hands. It was an ordinary Thursday, and the sun had already begun to set behind the rooftops in the quiet neighborhood. He had lived here for 15 years but rarely paid attention to his neighbors. Work took up all his time. The construction company demanded his constant presence, meetings, negotiations, decisions. At 58, Vladimir Sergeyevich had grown used to solitude. After the divorce, he saw his children only on weekends, and not even every weekend. He had built a successful business, bought a nice house, and an expensive car. But sometimes, in the silence of the evening, he felt that something important was missing in his life. As he approached his blue car, he suddenly heard a child's voice. "Don't get in the car! Don't get in the car!" Vladimir Sergeyevich turned around and saw a little girl, about 7 or 8 years old. She stood on the lawn, waving her hands, and genuine worry was written all over her face. Her light hair fluttered in the wind, and her pink dress under a green cardigan looked a little crumpled, as if she had been playing outside all day. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" he asked, stopping. There was an unexpected gentleness in his voice. "There's a kitten in your car," the girl pointed with a trembling finger. "He climbed under the hood when it was cold. My mom says kittens often hide in warm places near the engine." Vladimir Sergeyevich frowned. He was in a hurry to meet important clients. But something in the seriousness of the girl's eyes made him stop and think. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Yes, I saw him crawl in there when you left this morning. He's gray with white paws. Very small and hungry." Vladimir Sergeyevich looked at his watch. The meeting was in 30 minutes, and the drive would take 20. But the girl looked at him with such hope. "All right," he said. "Let's check." He opened the car hood and indeed found a tiny gray kitten with white paws. The little one was trembling with fear and meowing so quietly it was barely audible. "Careful, mister," the girl whispered, stepping closer. "He's very scared." Vladimir Sergeyevich gently picked up the kitten. It was so light and warm. It had been a long time since he'd held something so alive and defenseless. "Thank you for warning me," he said to the girl. "What's your name?" "Anechka," she replied with a smile. "And you're Vladimir Sergeyevich, right? Where are your parents, Anechka?" "Mama's at home. She said I could play in the yard but not go far." The girl stroked the kitten gently with her finger. "What's going to happen to him now?" Vladimir Sergeyevich paused. He could take the kitten to the nearest shelter or leave it in the yard. But for some reason, he didn't want to do that. I don't know, he answered honestly. I don't really have time to take care of animals. Can I come sometimes and play with him? Anechka asked. My mom doesn't let us have pets. She says there's not enough room in our apartment. But I really love animals. At that moment, Vladimir Sergeyevich realized that the meeting with clients no longer seemed so important. He looked at the little girl who had worked so hard to save a small life, and something warm stirred in his chest. You know what, Anechka, he said. Maybe this kitten was looking for a home and a good friend. The girl's eyes lit up. Really? You'll keep him? We'll try, Vladimir Sergeyevich smiled. But I'll need help. I don't know anything about taking care of kittens. I know! Anechka exclaimed. My grandma had a cat named Murzik. She told me everything I need to do. Can I come help? Of course. But first, ask your mom, he said. Anechka nodded and ran off toward the house. Vladimir Sergeyevich stood holding the kitten. The little one had stopped trembling and even began to purr softly. A few minutes later, Anechka returned, leading a young woman by the hand. Mama, this is Uncle Vladimir Sergeyevich. He saved the kitten. Good evening, the woman said. My name is Elena Mikhailovna. Anechka told me what happened. Thank you for listening to her. Not at all, replied Vladimir Sergeyevich. It's your daughter who saved the kitten. She's very kind and observant. Elena Mikhailovna smiled. She always worries about stray animals. She's always bringing home puppies or kittens. We live in a small apartment, so we can't keep them all, but we try to find them homes. Anechka offered to help me take care of the kitten, said Vladimir Sergeyevich. If you don't mind. Of course. That would be wonderful, said Elena Mikhailovna. But I wouldn't want to burden you. On the contrary, he said, and was surprised by the sincerity of his own words, I'd be glad. From that day on, Vladimir Sergeyevich's life changed. Every day after work, he was greeted not only by the purring kitten, whom they named Seryazka, but also by Anechka, with her ringing laughter and endless stories about school, friends, and dreams. She came every day, helped feed Seryazka, played with him, and told him fairy tales. Vladimir Sergeyevich listened to her childish chatter and realized how long it had been since laughter had filled his home. Elena Mikhailovna would sometimes stop by to pick up her daughter and stay for tea. They talked about life, children, and how quickly the world was changing. Vladimir Sergeyevich learned that she was a primary school teacher, raising Anechka alone, and that they had recently moved to the neighborhood. The months passed. And Vladimir Sergeyevich realized that for the first time in many years, he felt truly alive. Work was no longer the only meaning in his life. Now he had Seryazka, Anechka, and her mother, a family he hadn't even been searching for, but one that had found him. One evening, as they sat on the veranda watching Anechka play with the now-grown cat, Elena Mikhailovna said, "You know, Vladimir Sergeyevich, sometimes it feels like nothing in life happens by accident. Seryazka brought us together." "Or Anechka did," he replied. "If not for her kind heart, I would have simply driven off that evening and never known what true happiness feels like." Vladimir Sergeyevich looked at the little girl playing and realized a simple truth. Sometimes, the most important meetings in life happen when we least expect them. And sometimes, a child's voice yelling, "Don't start the car," can change everything. Now, when the neighbors saw him in the yard with the cat in his arms and the laughing girl by his side, they understood. Wealth isn't just money. The greatest riches are love, kindness, and the warmth of hearts that find each other even on the most ordinary days. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Revolving hearts. Backhand index pointing right, like, share, and comment your favorite part. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe for more real stories that restore your faith in humanity. Paw Prints, and remember, sometimes, the smallest voice can lead to the biggest change.